Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood as we continue our February month talking all about 1980s vampires. Up next, if you like 80s goth, if you like supposedly living or being with somebody forever, they said that like multiple times. If you like a vampire countess girl seducing you to turn into a vampire and live with her forever, but forever not really being forever because it's only like maybe a couple centuries, then this is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is talking all about The Hunger. Gothing it up here today on the Retro Blood. J. Alison, James Kline. How you feeling, Alison? Have you been seduced by a old school vampire that told you you're gonna live and love her forever? Has that happened to you recently?
That's the only kind of vampires there are, old school vampires.
True.
I can't say that I was necessarily seduced by this, but I'm kind of interested though in a way.
Yeah, me too. It's like, you know what? I think I might have jumped on board. You know, just to see what it's like. You get to live longer than like, a certain age. You know what I mean? It seemed like a the John character Bowie and stuff. He seemed like he lived a pretty full life, and then he turned old. But it seemed like he got a little tricked. So it's pretty interesting. This movie is actually really interesting, and yeah, it's very. This movie seemed like, to say a little quick thoughts about it before we get into the full thing. This like movie reminded me of like a very long Sisters of Mercy music video. Well, yeah,
I could see why you would think that. I thought that it was basically like a goth music video the entire time.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I'm pretty sure you could play this whole movie at like a goth club and it would go with like the whole soundtrack.
Oh yeah, you could. I mean, I'm surprised. I would be surprised if that hasn't happened.
Yeah, it had to happen.
Like like they played it on a video screen behind whatever like shitty DJ they had.
Listen, man, I'm actually a big fan of goth and 80s goth. All right.
Okay.
So I love this movie. I thought it was fucking fantastic, and
okay.
I even got to show what's her name. I just got to show Bethany this movie too because she'll probably like it as well. But it's actually pretty neat. It's like it's a very unique movie for the time, and I actually thought it was pretty well done, well shot, and everything. And I actually thought the story of it was actually pretty interesting too, especially for a vampire story. I mean, we usually don't have a lot of like vampire stories that have like a female lead of being like the main antagonist throughout the movie. And I thought that was pretty cool on there too. But yeah, I did like the soundtrack to it. Seeing, I don't think I've ever seen like David Bowie like act anything besides the Labyrinth. That's the only thing I remember him in.
Yeah, this was maybe not. I was gonna say this might be his first movie, but
no,
I think
he did
the
first.
Man Who Fell to Earth first.
Yeah, he did some other stuff before this. This wasn't even his first movie in 1983. But yeah,
really?
He did. Yeah, so he did. Yeah, I mean, he did some acting in the 60s and 70s. Like on television shows and stuff like that. But in 1983, I believe. He did. Let me see. We did this. Actually, this might. He did this movie, and then he did this Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence movie. Okay, and then he did some sort of like. It was like The Seed and the Sower, where it was some sort of like prisoner Japanese camp movie. All right, and then he did like this a very small role in this movie called Yellow Breed. So he did some not a whole lot of stuff in 1983, but he was on there in 1983. But this was his only like I guess horror movie. he was ever in. You know, everything else is a bit more like tame compared to this. You know, in 1983, of course.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. So, like, you know, when you look at his filmography, like, all these roles are very, very small.
Yeah.
Up until he did The Hunger. The Hunger, well, actually, that's not true. The Man Who Fell to Earth, he starred in that. But other than that, he was, all his roles were, like, very, very small roles.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I don't know. Like,
What, you ain't goth there, Alison? Come on now. You ain't artsy? You know, you brought us to the fucking Salvador Dali Museum. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody in that fucking museum loved this movie.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, I didn't hate it. It's all right. I mean, I'd seen it once before. I don't know. I maybe by the end of the show, I'll be able to put my finger on why I didn't love it.
I'll turn you around on it.
All right, turn me around. It just seemed like much ado about nothing. Like, it was just like 97 minutes and a story that could be told in about 20 minutes.
Maybe, but you know what? We got to have some cool scenery shots, and we got to have shots of the Countess smoking in different areas of the house. I mean, that's a must. I mean, come on now.
There's a lot of smoking in this movie.
What color?
Well, I mean, it is a goth movie, so.
Yeah, in 1983, brother. All right? Mm-hmm. Vampires. But I actually thought it was cool, but we'll get on to it, though. But just like every retro blood, let's talk about what was happening in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music. The reason we do this is pretty simple. You know, we're kind of like vampires ourselves on this podcast. Yeah. You know what I mean? We don't only just bite you. Okay, you got to suck our blood too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So by sucking our blood, we're going to give you some facts about pro wrestling and metal. See, it makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But, so this movie came out April 23rd, 1983. All right. So this is, I always like this, like, you know, early 80s era. You know what I mean? Like, I always have fun when we can, like, talk about movies from, like, right before, like, 1985. You know what I mean? Right?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because, like, they're just, we talked about this many, many, many times. But, you know, they're just shot different. They're just done a little different. You know, I feel like there was a little bit more, I'm going to say like super creativity, because we did get some good shit in like 1987, 1988. But it's just like the filmmaking was just like, just different. Speaking of different, Alison, did you know that Hulkamania wasn't established in 1984? It was actually established way sooner than that. Okay? Because the first thing we have to talk about is the AWA Super Show. Mm-hmm. All right. It was a AWA Super Sunday show. It was from the AWA promotion, run by Vern Gagne, which we talked about many times here on the podcast. Actually, one of my favorite promotions. Because every time I watch it, like AWA, like I don't know about you, but like it reminds me of like just like a different version of the WWF. Because like they look like, to me, they stole the most stars from the AWA Vince McMahon did than like any other promotion.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, well, no wonder it looks like the WWF, because the WWF stole almost all their stuff directly from AWA. I mean, the only they didn't get Bockwinkel, but they got everybody else from this. From the main event of this show.
And I think the biggest,
like in a year.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think the biggest thing that stands out is because they got Mean Gene Okerlund and Bobby the Brain Heenan. Because, those guys, were always on the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, they were always, like, right when they jumped ship to the WWF, I mean, they were on, like, every show. You know what I mean? So, I think they're the ones that stand out the most to me from the AWA. But this, we talked about the Hulkamania rise before on this podcast before, of like, how Hulkamania started out. He was in the Rocky III movie. He got fired from Vince McMahon Sr. and he started working for Vern Gagne. And at first he started off as a heel, but then everybody started noticing, like, we really like this guy. This big jacked up dude a lot of personality, just had that it factor. And, you know, one day they just, you know, they just made him a baby face, and it just kind of blew up from here. And it all kind of like worked out where it was doing this match. And this match was a, you know, it was Hulk Hogan versus Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA Championship. And this match was like pretty crazy. It was like huge. Like, I mean, like just the crowd, you know, loving Hogan, backing Hogan. Like they really wanted him to win this belt tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
And it was pretty cool having him come out with like entrance music too. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. So is that actual entrance music that he came out to, you think? Or did the WWE stick that in for the network?
They sticked it into the network. I believe he came out to Eye of the Tiger, but I could be wrong.
That's what I was going to think, because until the WWF wrote I'm a Real American, he came out to Eye of the Tiger.
Yes.
But yeah, because we had just recently in January, we recently celebrated the 40th anniversary of Hulkamania. But like as you mentioned, Hulkamania actually started in the AWA in 1980.
Well, you know, they have all these branded T-shirts, which I did buy one because we also went to Hogan's Beach Shop, which is super cool.
Yes.
Anybody's in the Clearwater area or the Orlando area, definitely check it out. Like if you want to see some old school like wrestling memorabilia, I was actually, you know, like speaking of that, like I was actually surprised about how much stuff he had. Like, was that from his, like, how did he get all that stuff? Was that from his personal collection?
You mean the stuff that he had hanging on the wall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are just titles that he has.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of them are replicas.
Well, even like the signed posters and all those.
No, that's all from his personal collection. Yes.
Yeah. Like he even had
for
like
the people who don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
As I say, for the people who don't know, we went down to Clearwater for the Royal Rumble, and we spent a little bit of time in Hogan's shop. But yeah, like, like that Rocky 3 poster that was signed that says to Terry. That I'm sure that's from his personal collection.
Yeah.
And all that stuff on the wall, and then obviously the belt that he took from Jarrett was in his personal collection. I was just astounded at the amount of merchandise he had.
Oh yeah, there's a shit ton
for sale. Like just every single Hulk Hogan item you could possibly think of.
Yeah,
you could buy. I don't even know how he could think of that many shirt designs.
The only shirt we were missing was a shirt from this match.
Yeah, there should be an AWA Bockwinkel versus Hogan match.
Well,
our shirt.
the shirt he was wearing out to the ring, though, did you see what it said? It was
like, we want the belt?
Yeah, we want the belt.
That's awesome.
Bro, if I would have watched this match and went down there, if I saw that shirt, I would have fucking bought that in a second.
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, you know definitely. And it was like those 1980 shirts that had like the puffy letters that you stick on.
Yeah.
If they'd had that, I would totally have bought that.
I'm like, and he did have the I'm pretty sure he had like a tank top that was like, it said American, either real, I don't think it was Real American, but it said like American. I think that was from his AWA collection. But
yeah, I think it said American made or something
American
like that.
Made, yeah. So, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Like seeing, like I like the older Hulk Hogan stuff. You know what I mean? Like I was like on the lookout for the Hulk Rules shirt. I saw there was one like hanging up that was like a used one that you could buy. I don't think I could buy no used one. With the signing and shit. I just wanted like fucking just, why can't you give me the Hulk Rules? It's probably because they got that trademarked or something. I'm thinking.
Yeah, maybe.
But I don't see why he couldn't have done more of his AWA run shirts and stuff. That's actually probably a good idea for him to do later. But if you all watch this match, there's a big difference between like Hulk Hogan AWA, Hulk Hogan Japan, and then Hulk Hogan WWF. There's like he's like the same guy personality kind of wise, but in the ring it's like way different. Okay.
Well, he's also not in this match. What I noticed, he wasn't as over the top. Like, like Hogan and WWF, he's coming out and he's going to beat everybody. In this one, you kind of got the feeling he was kind of the underdog.
Yeah.
But yeah, he when I was watching it, and part of it was like Hogan with the sleeper, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Like Hogan doing a hold?
Yeah.
Like you would never see that again after that year.
Yeah.
In America, anyway.
Oh yeah, like it's like almost. I don't say like right away, but like right after he won the belt from the Iron Sheik, you could tell that his wrestling style was going to be more like animated, more cartoonish. Yeah. But that's what they were going anyway. I mean, it's just crazy to see like this is like only like what is this like he debuted for in 1984. Like I think he came in like early 1984 to the WWF.
Well, that isn't an Iron Sheik match in January of '84.
Yeah, January.
That's when Hulkamania started. So he must have come in late '83 or early '80, very very early '84.
Yeah.
Because the Sheik had the title, so they could transition it to Hogan. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. That's what it was. And remember there was that story that Vern Gagne was like, "Hey, Iron Sheik, I'll pay you some amount of money to break his leg." Yeah. And he was like, "I ain't gonna do all that." Let me see. When did Hulk Hogan? Yeah. When did he join the WWF?
So while you're looking that up, let me ask you a question. Why do you think that the WWF didn't sign Nick Bockwinkel? Because of his age?
No, I think Nick Bockwinkel he was just too loyal to Vern Gagne.
Mm-hmm.
And it could, I could see the age factor too, because he was like a little.
I mean, he would have been
wrestler.
50.
Yeah.
So like Vern Gagne is 49 in this match.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, so Hulk Hogan he debuted in December 1983.
Okay,
so we're in April. Yeah. So it's really we're cutting it close of him coming to the F. But yeah, my understanding was, Vern Gagne, he's just very loyal. Nick Bockwinkel, sorry. He was very loyal to Vern Gagne, mm-hmm. So that's why he stayed. And he pretty much like finished out most of his career there too, because, he didn't really like wrestle outside of the AWA. He didn't really wrestle that much. Like he would make appearances for like WCW and stuff like that, but he didn't really do a whole lot of wrestling outside of that. But I think it was just a loyalty. I'm thinking. I don't think he dated anybody within Vern. I think that was Larry Zbyszko, I believe, who dated somebody within the family. I could get
in the Gagne family.
I think so, but I know Vern Gagne dated somebody, and that's why they put the belt on him eventually. But the big thing, the big matches after this with Nick Bockwinkel would be the matches he would have with Kurt Hennig. Mr. Perfect. That'd be like some of his next feuds and stuff. And that's, right when Hogan left and all of them left and stuff, the AWA was still in business for a while. And that's when they would mix up and do those super shows that we talk about here and there on the podcast. But it's kind of cool, though, to see, the true building blocks of Hulkamania started in 1983. All right? And you can kind of see it. You can kind of see it from this match. I mean, this crowd was going nuts for this guy. I mean, I think the WWF, they obviously brought it to a bigger platform, but the seeds were already planted, brother. Okay, they're
true,
there.
Absolutely.
And
according to this, Bockwinkel wrestled his final match for the AWA in 1987.
Yeah.
And then the next year, or in late that year, he was hired as a road agent by the World Wrestling Federation.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so he was.
So he did go to work for them. He just wasn't a wrestler. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I don't remember ever seeing him doing any matches on there, but I could see him if he was retired and there's no more AWA. I could see him doing I know he did special appearances for WCW in the '90s, but I didn't realize he was actually a road agent. But that makes a lot of sense. But this match was pretty good, back and forth. The big thing is the commentary guy was pretty funny on there. I like the one line. He's check this one out, Alison. Tell me if this sounds like a promoter. He's all like, "Yeah, I mean, the Nick Bockwinkel, forced Hulk Hogan to wrestle this final match for the world belt, and he actually made Hulk Hogan pay. That's why we had to jack up the ticket prices for everybody. That's why the ticket prices were so much, because of this Nick Bockwinkel making Hulk Hogan, pay for this match. I'm like, bro, that would not work today at all. Like, just imagine. Like, that's
why you had to pay more.
Yeah, we're jacking up the price for WrestleMania, everybody, because Roman Reigns has to force Cody Rhodes to put a purse down to fight his ass. Okay. I was like,
why would that make the ticket price go up anyway? I mean, it's Cody Rhodes' money or Hulk Hogan's money. Why does that make the ticket price go up?
I don't know. Like, I guess it has to. And like, why is he telling the people at home? Like, you know what I mean?
The people that didn't go.
The people that didn't
go to the show. Yeah.
Like, unless like the commentary guy was like over the loudspeaker. Like, fucking Joe in the front row is going to be like, man, this ticket price was kind of high. I wonder why. Then he watches the show back. Oh, yeah, because of that fucking Bockwinkel. Damn it, him. Like, making Hulk Hogan pay for the
was
match.
The heel, so they could have just announced that and then made everybody boo Bockwinkel because it made the ticket prices go up.
Yeah. So that was giving me a good chuckle from the match. And, you could just, you could tell, like, you could tell like there's an after guy too. He was just like pumping up Hogan, like, this is a crowd favorite, and look at him go, and he this crowd loves him. Like these people were like dying for him to win the belt, and they also to the referee. What was his Sir something? It was kind of weird name.
Yeah, so that guy is I looked him up a little bit. He is a wrestler I've never heard of. I mean, he's really before my time. I mean, he was born in 1923, but he's an English wrestler named Lord Blears, James Blears.
Okay.
He was also a surfer as well.
I wonder if he hangs out with our vampire crew on this goth movie we watched.
Maybe, but he didn't live forever. He died at 92 years of age in March of 2016.
Well, there you go. I mean, shit. 92, man. But yeah,
because I mean, think about that. That's crazy, though. I mean, because like this is 1983.
Yeah.
So the guy was 60 years old when this match happened, and he lived until 2016.
Wow. Damn. Hey, man. He must. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's an interview about him around there talking about wrestling and stuff. I bet it'd been pretty good stuff. But there's a whole like match and event. We only watched this match on here, the Hulk Hogan match, because this event was like almost like 3 hours. I just did not have the time to watch the whole thing.
No, I only watched the Hogan match myself.
And like listen, I mean, this is 1983. I mean, I could barely see this match. Okay, like the quality of this is like way different. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there were no lights.
No lights. There was just like, man.
No.
Like we got one.
It was like the lights we saw at the GCW show.
Exactly.
It was just like two little round lights.
This one was even worse, bro. I'm pretty sure there was smoke in the building and shit. Like, come on. But this was
absolutely
this whole Sunday thing. So the movie came out on April 23rd. This match happened on April 24th on a Sunday. And it was held at the St. Paul Civic Center in St. Paul, Minnesota, which is a big wrestling town. Of course, AWA is known for their big Minnesota wrestling out there. But like I said, this match is pretty good. I mean, I've always loved Nick Bockwinkel. He's been one of my favorite wrestlers. He's more on the technical side. Like, he is like, he's kind of like, a Zack Sabre Jr., Daniel Bryan style wrestler.
Yeah,
I always thought he was just really good. It was really cool to see him against Hulk Hogan. I thought they did pretty well together. The big thing about this match was, I guess Hulk like threw him over the top rope, and that's when they had that like gimmick where you can't throw people over the top rope. Like I always thought,
it's too dangerous.
Yeah, I always thought this was so stupid. Okay, but they basically used it for like a booking crutch.
Which is what they used it for here.
Yeah, which I actually liked the finish of this. Well, besides the swerve, but it was Hulk Hogan. He gives him a suplex. It's not a suplex there, Alison. It's a suplex. All right. He gave him the
what's her name says? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Tony Storm. But the commentary guy said it too. He said, "Oh, he's gonna give him a suplex."
Did he really?
He did say that. He did say it. I was like, I knew that. I knew it. So he gives him the suplex.
Wow.
Okay. From the apron inside the ring, and then he drops the leg. I kind of like that a little better than the big boot.
Yeah. I mean, it's more interesting. We've seen the big boot a million times.
Yeah, because it's like you do a suplex, and then you go straight up, and then you do the fucking big boot, and then he pins him, wins the world belt. Everybody's going crazy, and then we do a dusty finish on this ass, and it says, "Oh, you threw him on the top rope, so you didn't win the belt." And then Hulk Hogan, he's so pissed that he just keeps the belt. He never gives it back.
Right.
And then we try to interview him a little bit, and he just doesn't do it. He's just so mad that he didn't win the belt. He's like, "This is my belt. Well, I won the belt for all of you. Won the belt for everybody. This is our belt." I think that's what he said.
We want the belt. And we had the belt, but we were cheated out of it. Although technically we weren't, because we broke the rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Hogan beats him, but then it's reversed by Lord Blears because he threw Nick Bockwinkel over the top rope.
And to be honest with you, this match is a little legendary too, because I mean, it shows that this promotion, like, they didn't want to go all the way with Hulk Hogan. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, like, I think they were maybe trying to set up like a rematch, but like he never wins the AWA belt at all. Like there's something about him they couldn't trust him. And of course, the biggest thing was the reason that Hulk Hogan left wasn't necessarily winning the belt. I mean, that was probably like one of the circumstances, but the biggest thing was Vern wasn't paying Hulk Hogan for the merchandise money.
Right.
And, he wasn't paying for that, what he's worth and everything. And, Vern was just like, I don't really need you. We can do fine without you. And boy, was that a fucking mistake. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest superstar of all time, probably. The two biggest wrestlers I think of all time are either Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah.
I think Stone Cold is even bigger than The Rock. But
in wrestling,
it's in wrestling for sure. But yeah, I mean, like, so he just basically decided he didn't need a person that in not even a year would become the biggest wrestler in the world.
Yeah,
the most famous wrestler that ever lived in 1984. For sure.
And like the craziest thing about it is, like, I mean, just watch this match. I mean, these people were like, first of all, we already got told that they're paying extra money to be at the show.
To see exactly.
I mean, there's only so much, like, there's almost so much stuff you could do to screw the baby face and have him keep on coming back. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, there comes a point where you just got to let the guy run with it, and that's what Vince McMahon Jr. did compared to Vern Gagne. Vern Gagne would never give this guy his just due, even though he had it in his fucking palm of his hand. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, because he had to have control.
Yeah.
That's a territory. That's what the territory was like. Yeah. You just kept control of your territory, and your territory was more important than the wrestlers that were in it. But Vern, well, not just Vern, but none of them really could see where this was going to go.
I don't know, man. Right? I don't know, man. Like, did you see this crowd? Like, I mean,
but
they were going wild for this guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain parts where you can kind of see it, before it kind of blew up a little bit. But, obviously the heights it went to, I mean, going on like talk shows, this stuff was probably out of their grasp. But you know what a question I kind of want to ask is, like, even though we will never be able to ask the man himself because of all the craziness with him right now. But I was wanting to ask, like Hulk or Vince, like, how did Vince discover Hulk Hogan? Like how did he know about him? Like, did he watch the AWA and see this guy get over and be like, that's my guy? Like, how did he know that Hulk Hogan was the guy compared to all the territories he was going to and all the talent he brought up? Why did he pick like Hulk Hogan exactly to be the man. I kind of.
So I think there's a couple of different things going on there. So one, he knew Hulk Hogan because Hogan had worked for his dad.
Yeah.
Remember? And he got fired because he wanted to do Rocky 3.
Yeah. Yeah, but he was like a
as far
heel.
Well, yeah, but he wasn't a heel at this point. He was clearly a face when he was facing Bockwinkel.
Yeah.
But I think that I think a lot of it was luck. Like we think it's sheer genius on Vince McMahon's part because it worked. You know what I mean? Like I don't know that Vince knew that he would be the biggest wrestler in the world. I think that he knew that he could make money with Hulk Hogan. And he knew that he could get Hulk Hogan because Hogan was being screwed over by Vern. And
Yeah.
I'm sure he knew that. And Hogan was big. He was a big guy, which you're not going to like. Okay, so like his guy could have been Ric Flair, but Ric Flair is not Hulk Hogan. Not on paper. You know what I mean? He doesn't look like Hulk Hogan. He doesn't. He's not. Hulk Hogan looks like a cartoon character.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's why I'm pretty sure that's the vision Vince had, was that I want this to be. He probably didn't think I want it to be like a cartoon, but he's like, I wanted it to be very animated and very dynamic, and this Hogan guy is perfect for that. Because you're right. I mean, Hogan is not the most like, you know, like he was going bald. He was already 30. You know, I believe he turned 30 right before he debuted for Vince. So it's not like he was young. And in those days, wrestlers were thinking about retiring at 35. Bockwinkel must have been considered ancient at almost 50.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So like, so it is strange that he would pick him and not like, I mean, I'm trying to think of somebody else he could have picked. Well, let's say Kerry Von Erich, but he would never have gotten the Von Erichs because, you know, they were all ingrained in their family business.
Yeah.
But like, you know, Kerry Von Erich could have been in that spot as well if he was able to get him. But Hogan was just somebody that would do it. He would sign, you know, he would sign the contract. He, you know, was ready to go. So I'm pretty sure that it was just like a lightning in the bottle kind of thing. Like he just happened to capture that moment, that zeitgeist right then, and it worked, and it just exploded, and people loved it. It may not have worked had it not been for MTV, though, which, you know, I don't know if we've ever talked about that before, but that rock and wrestling thing with Cyndi Lauper and all that kind of that stuff, that really got them over to a mass audience for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it's just a very fun little piece of history right here of like seeing like the rise of what Hulkamania would become. Just not even a couple months. You know what I mean? And a totally new promotion for him. But let's switch on over to the metal music.
Yeah.
I know you got something. I got something too. Both were in the Hunger. All right.
Yep. Neither one of them are really metal, but we're gonna talk about something different.
Well, you know, yes, you're right. They're not like, you know, thrash or nothing like that. But you know what? You know, they're kind of jammy. You know what I mean? So let's talk about yours first, because they made like a little cameo at the beginning.
Yeah, it's really weird, right? Like,
yeah.
So at the very beginning of this movie, the band Bauhaus is playing Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Yes.
Which I guess they're supposed to be playing at that club they're at the beginning.
Yeah, the goth club, brother.
The goth club, even though they're not using microphones or anything.
Oh, look great. Yeah. No. The gimmick is he got paid to sing his song in a cage.
Oh, right. Yes.
Yeah, brother, come on. Bro, first of all, you wouldn't have gone to this club. I would have been all over this place. I'm like, hell yeah, brother.
I would go to any place that Bauhaus was playing.
I mean, come on, this is wild. And you know, this is not the first. This is also not the first time we have seen or heard Bauhaus in a movie that we reviewed. Do you remember?
That's true.
Do you remember which movie we did?
I can't. That had Bauhaus in it? No, I can't.
It was one of my favorite podcasts of 2023. It was our Halloween episode, Night of the Demons, where our girl Angela was dancing her dance. She danced to Bauhaus.
All right. Yeah, true.
So they're all over these horror movies, brother. I love it. But yeah, it was kind of cool.
Bauhaus is a great band.
Yeah, it was cool to see him in there doing. I love this opening scene. I thought this opening scene was like fucking awesome. I was like, bro, this is like a fucking 80s goth music video. Just the open scene. So.
Yeah, this was. I had to actually research this because I thought that Bauhaus would have been broken up by 1983, but they did break up right after this.
Oh, okay.
So they were like near the end of their original run before they got back together in the 90s. But yeah, they were Bela Lugosi's Dead was like their first single.
Yeah.
So this song was old by the time this movie came out. Bauhaus played their last show in July of 1983, and this movie came out in April. So 3 months later, after this movie came out, they would break up. Which
is crazy, man, because they probably got some little extra fame from the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure they got paid well, and I'm sure they probably got a little bit more exposure from this. But yeah, they're probably not the first goth band, but they were like one of the first goth bands that I liked.
Yeah.
Because we've established that. I mean, I do like goth stuff to an extent, but a lot of times goths just kind of get on my nerves. But Bauhaus, I mean, they're just a good band. I mean, they're heavy and they're also like really melodic. I don't know. It's hard to describe. They're very unique. There's not another band that's really like Bauhaus.
They have like random transitions into weird parts of their songs.
Yeah, exactly. And then Bela Lugosi's Dead is like 11 minutes of this one thing. Like everything you hear in that movie, that's what the entire song sounds like.
Yeah.
For like 11 minutes. But yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Bauhaus fan. Peter Murphy's solo stuff that he did after this was fantastic. Still doing good music. Then the other guys started a band called Love and Rockets, which was really good. But yeah, I've seen Bauhaus several times. Have you ever been to a Bauhaus show at all?
No, I've actually never been to their show, but it seems like it'd be pretty fun.
Yeah, I saw them like in a fairly small venue when they first got back together. And then I saw them opening for Nine Inch Nails, in which they played in August, in Charlotte in August, in the middle of the day. Not in the middle of the day, but the sun was still out. So it was still daytime, which was really weird to see these goths playing in 98-degree weather. Yeah. Peter Murphy came out wearing a fur coat.
Yeah, Betty.
And complaining about how hot it was. I'm like, dude, you're wearing a fucking fur coat.
Did you ever hear that that Henry Rollins is like, yeah, man, if you ever see one of these goth bands or black metal bands out there and they're fucking playing their song in the middle of the heat outside, it looks like a bunch of goths having a barbecue.
That's pretty accurate. But yeah, they were Bauhaus is great. I've seen them several times. But yeah, they were playing in this movie. They played Bela Lugosi's Dead, which was like their first single. So this song was fairly old, but it fits the movie, right?
It did.
It's about vampires, and Bela Lugosi was a vampire.
Yeah. So the one I want to talk about is obviously our boy who played John. All right, was our David Bowie, and yes, I mean, come on, absolutely. David Bowie is probably the most influential music person of all time. I would say
of all time, yes.
I never been like the huge. I like David Bowie for his art and like what he represents, but his music has never been something that I've like listened to on the regular. All right, but it's not like it's bad. You know what I mean? It's more like that, background like dance music. I would say. You can
listen
to it.
I think you should listen to more David Bowie. Especially early David Bowie. I think you would like that a lot better.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the album you're referring to is Let's Dance, which came out in 1983.
Yes.
It came out like a week before this, right?
Yeah, it came out April 14th. Yeah. So it came out.
Yeah, this was like a low point. Although the album did very well. But for Bowie's career, I would consider this a low point for Bowie. Like he had tried to reinvent himself again. And he hired Nile Rodgers for Chic to help him with his music and produce his album, and it was just basically like what I would consider like disco music. Like it just was like dance music for the 80s, and he did get Stevie Ray Vaughan to play guitar on this album, I believe, which was not bad. But yeah, I mean, like, this is not my favorite era of Bowie. I don't think it's anybody's favorite era of Bowie, but he did score a hit and was able to revitalize his career with this for sure.
Yeah, what was it? Let's Dance.
Let's Dance was the
yeah. China
was
Girl.
The big, the song with Let's Dance is the single I was thinking of. That's the big hit. China Girl is a pretty big hit.
Yeah,
that he wrote with Iggy Pop. This album is actually pretty good now that I think about it. Cat People is a good song.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's it's not looking back on it, I like it better than I did when I first heard it, I guess.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's cool. Like, you could play it. You could tell that there's a lot of work that went into the music. Very, very fun style. You can dance to it. You can listen to it. I'd say it's pretty fun little album there. I knew David Bowie. Like, I liked his song that he did with Trent Reznor. I'm Afraid of Americans.
I'm Afraid of Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that video. Love that music. I thought that was cool. So, like I said, like, I know a little bit about David Bowie, but I'm not like a connoisseur of his. I'm not like, I don't know every little detail about him, but I know he's very influential when it comes to music. And, it's really cool to see a guy who is so, like, famous in music, they also do, like, acting too. Like, it's kind of like, I think he was like one of the first to kind of do that. Like, he wasn't the first to do that, but he's one of the first around this time to do it. Obviously Elvis did that a lot too. But he kind of like, we see that a lot nowadays too with a lot of, very popular singers. They don't just do singing only. They actually do some acting too, and some other things, which is always, it's always cool to have like multiple, more than just one jack of your trade. You gotta have multiple things.
Yeah, and Bowie would actually turn out to be a pretty good actor too.
Oh yeah,
especially when he got a role that he was good at. In this movie, I don't know. Like, I think he's doing what he's supposed to be doing, but he's not very animated. He's kind of just standing there.
Well, he did quote it. He did quote, like, he did say, like, it was very awkward, like, filming this whole thing, but he really liked working with the director on it. So. Yeah. And he would go on not long after this, not many more years, until he'd make Labyrinth, which, I think he was great in that, but that was perfectly suited for him, though, right? Yeah.
I mean, that was like
a little more up his
alley.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, pretty fun stuff. So, definitely a very influential, star at this time. Like, he's probably like a bona fide star at this time, being in this film too. So that's pretty cool. But I say let's get into the who booked this shit, brother.
Yeah, who booked this shit?
So we actually was directed by this guy named Tony Scott. Okay.
Tony Scott, yes.
And I was surprised that this guy, so this is actually his debut, his directing debut. Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you acted like you didn't know who Tony Scott was, but he's a very famous actor, or a very famous director.
Yes. And
his second movie was Top Gun.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, oh shit, this guy did Top Gun. He did Beverly Hills Cop. I mean,
yep. 2.
Enemy of the State.
He did the sequel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the sequel. Yeah, sequel. Yeah, he did number 2. Days of Thunder, brother. I mean, come on. But yeah, I mean, just doing this and
Top Gun in a race car.
It's crazy to think like this was his like debut, and then he would just go on to make Top Gun, like completely.
Yeah, he made this
different.
he made this erotic vampire movie, and then he made Top Gun.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's this erotic horror. It's placed as an erotic horror film.
Yeah,
and then then we got Top Gun, brother. All right. I was like, okay.
Right, the next 3 years later, he would make Top Gun. But yeah, he's made a lot of really good movies. He made True Romance, which I love. He made this movie called Revenge. It was fantastic. But yeah, Tony Scott is quite the famous filmmaker, and this is his first movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. So, a couple of things about this film, so it was a co-production between the United Kingdom and the United States, which is cool, which we've seen a lot, before of like, different states working with each other. And so this film is also loosely adapted from a 1981 novel of the same name by Whitley Strieber. And
Strieber, yeah, we've talked about him before. He wrote the novel that Wolfen was based on.
Yeah, Wolf. Oh, okay, that makes sense.
So he wrote that, and then he also wrote the book for this. So this is the second time Whitley Strieber's been on the Retro Blood.
Yeah, you know what? You know, if you think about it, you know that this Wolfen and this movie are pretty similar. Like they're not like super
I thought that
similar.
too. I thought they are.
Yeah.
They do share like common themes.
Yeah,
like they do seem like there's
Where like you know it's a little bit more deeper on these, you know, because we haven't, you know, with like, you know, the wolf creature or like a vampire, you know, it's very old school, you know, universal monster stuff. But like we're kind of making it more into like a more deeper meaning. You know what I mean? A little bit more history behind it.
Right.
So you know, that's cool. That's cool. So you know, a couple things. So apparently there's a couple things on here. So the final scene of Sarah on the balcony was added at the studio's behest. All right. With the view to leave the film open-ended and allowing for possible sequels. Okay.
Yeah, instead of letting her die.
Yeah, exactly. So apparently the girl who played Sarah, she later expressed like she regrets that sequence seemed to make no sense in the context of the rest of the film, which it didn't. Like I was kind of like confused about that myself, because you know we saw her like, you know, not to we jumped ahead on here all the time, so fuck it, I'm gonna do it. You know, we saw her get stabbed at the end in the neck. You know, and she died, and that was like the main reason for the main countess to die. And then she just was she supposed to be a ghost? Like I'm not sure.
I don't think she's supposed to be a ghost, but yeah, she was bleeding quite profusely.
Yeah. Well, you know,
but then somehow she survived.
Well, you know, maybe she had those. Maybe her vampire power. Maybe it was she could heal herself too. We just didn't know that part.
Maybe.
So she said like the thing that made the film interesting to her was the question of, you know, who would you want to live forever if you were an addict? So, but you know, the film progressed. The powers that be rewrote the ending and decided that I wouldn't die, so that was the point. It says all the rules that we spent the entire film, that Miriam lived forever and was indestructible, and all the people that she transformed eventually died, and that I got killed myself rather than being an addict, were ignored. Suddenly I was kind of living. She was kind of half dying. Nobody knew what was going on, and I thought that was a shame. So, you know...
Yeah. Like, I completely agree, because the whole point of the end of this movie is that Susan Sarandon's character, Sarah, killed herself instead of wanting to be what Miriam was, or what John was, I guess you could say. But then they just decided that she survived and became a vampire, and now she's living in London with two other people.
Yeah.
Two new vampire companions.
And I think what she means by addict is like, you know, like being an addict to that lifestyle. You know what I mean? To like, you know,
well,
hunting
or like
and being a vampire.
Being a vampire, having to consume blood constantly.
Yeah. So Bowie was excited to work on the film, but was concerned about the final product. He said, I must say, there's nothing that looks like it on the market, but I'm a bit worried that it's just perversely bloody at some points. I was like, brother, you haven't seen. Just wait. You want to see perversely bloody.
Just wait. Or, I mean, even though, I mean, this is 1983. I mean, you know, we'd already got Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Last House on the Left. And,
yeah, well,
you know, there's a lot more bloodier things he could have seen.
Hold on. Listen, I don't think they didn't have that much blood in that movie. It was just fucked up. Yeah, we didn't see like rivers of blood on this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I'm talking about like, you know, fucking Cannibal Holocaust or something like that. You know, that's some blood.
Well, I didn't even go that far. Yeah, I mean, that's yeah.
You know,
I mean, that's just like perversely violent.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know, we probably had some, you know, if they're watching some Italian shit, you know what I mean? There's some blood on there, even though it's all, like, super bright in your eye. But, you know, I could see around this time, for this style of film, especially if somebody from Europe, how much they censor everything. I could see he's like had a little concern with the blood on it, because there was, a pretty good amount of blood, not a whole lot, but there was a pretty good amount.
Yeah, and he's probably, Bowie, I don't know. I didn't know the guy, but he's probably not a horror movie aficionado anyway.
Now, he seems more like a psychedelic type of movies, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those artsy, psychedelic stuff. Mm-hmm. So Tony Scott had to say about the movie during the time, says Hollywood just hated that movie. They called it erratic, artsy, fartsy.
Well, they're not wrong. It was pretty artsy.
It was pretty artsy. Well, the thing is, like, okay, so I think at the time this movie was coming out, like, this genre wasn't as popular as it is like nowadays, or like even in the 90s. You know what I mean? Like this actual genre of like goth and like 80s goth and like artsy 80s goth and stuff. I think it was like forming in the 80s. But it really didn't start getting going until like, the 90s and stuff and the 2000s, But, like, I'm pretty, like, you could show like any, like, like gothic or like, dance, like that kind of culture person, this movie, and they would fall in love with it. Like, I could tell just at the opening scene and everything, I was like, okay, And I actually thought everything was well acted and well done too. So, I could definitely see why, people were, the Hollywood people at this particular time were saying like, what is this? Because it was something like new for the time of the way everything was shot and how everything was done, and, the way they were moving and stuff. And it was interesting.
And the way it tells a story about, like, it has flashbacks, but they just kind of randomly happen. Yeah,
that's true. They kind of just like they're there. But I think the point of what he was trying to show in this was to show more of like the lust and romantic side of like the vampire story. You know what I mean? And it's also showing like the more like gritty side of the addict that you can become when you have you live forever. Something that we talked a little bit about last week when we did our animated Vampire Hunter D is, some of these vampires are like super old. The biggest thing about them is they're bored. You've done everything, you've seen everything, you've lived through centuries. You got to do things that entertain you, and that's when this, this countess that we have on this one, Miriam, I could tell that she's very similar to how our boy Marcus was in Vampire Hunter D in some parts, where, she's just bored and she has to have a companion, and and I think, like, I'm not sure this ever happened before, but like, most of the times what we've seen in films is when a vampire turns a person into a vampire, that vampire can't die unless, sunlight or the heart to this, the stake to the heart and stuff. Like these ones, like they seem like they deteriorate over time.
Well, yeah. So they don't ever really explain that in the movie unless I missed it.
Yeah.
So like they don't explain why Miriam lives forever. Well, okay, so they don't explain why she lives forever, but the people she turns will eventually start aging. But why do they live so long and then start aging? Because she turns David Bowie into a vampire like 200 years before this.
Yeah.
So he goes 200 years as a vampire, then all of a sudden he starts aging like dramatically fast.
Well,
like he becomes an old man in like one day.
So they did talk about that one disease. Was it I forgot the disease they were talking about. Like it was the one where like, you could be like a young kid, but you age like you're 70 and shit.
But that's a disease that people really have. What I'm talking about is like in the vampire lore of this movie.
Yeah.
Why does like David Bowie's character John stays the same age he was when she turned him for like 200 years, and then all of a sudden he starts getting old.
I mean, the only thing I can think is maybe like in this universe, like because remember she had like multiple lovers that were like in her little gothic bird room.
Well, yeah, and she had all the mummies, the mummies with her.
Yeah,
like, did she just carry those with her?
Yeah,
everywhere she goes.
Yeah, brother, you just put her in the basement.
Okay.
All right. I'm guessing like maybe her vampire powers can only make people live for a while, and she tricks them all. She's just like, yeah, you're gonna live forever, but until like a couple centuries. So
right, okay, well,
it's art, man. It's art.
It's
Alison.
art, man.
Thank you.
It's art.
Okay, come on now. So this film is actually has inspired a couple of filmmakers out here. One of them I thought was very fun, and it was the showrunner Brian Fuller, who he is the guy who actually made the television series of Hannibal. And there was points in this movie where I'm like, okay, that guy stole this part from this movie. Just the way like Hannibal like moves around in that show is very similar to how like John and Miriam act in this movie. So I could tell like, and then the way like the classical music's around there, and just the way like their presence are on screen is very, very similar. So I thought that was cool. And of course, there's also another one who cites this as a influence is a guy named Fred Berger. And he was influenced when he made this gothic subculture zine, Propaganda, which is actually a gothic magazine.
Okay.
That came out there. So he's a big, this is one of the films that really, influenced him to write the magazine, the style of the magazine on there too. So it's kind of cool. So apparently there was supposed to be a remake. Oh, have we heard that before?
Wow.
I wonder who would you get? Like, you had to get like some sort of like singer star on there, Like
you mean to play the part of John?
Yeah, like who would be like that nowadays? I couldn't even think. Like who's like a David Bowie guy like nowadays?
Well, okay, so you could do a couple of different things. You could gender role reverse it and make John's character female, and you could get Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you could get Lady Gaga to play Miriam.
Yeah, Lady Gaga to play Miriam would work.
Yeah.
The only guy I was thinking about, you might be able to do The Weeknd. You know what I mean? Because he seems like he's kind of like...
That'd be a good idea. Yeah, that'd be a good
I don't know
idea.
what his acting is like, but he seems like he would like, do okay in like, this kind of like sub-genre gothic style film. Something different for him.
Right.
But yeah, that would be very interesting. So, But they've been talking about doing this for like since 2009.
Right.
So I'm not sure if anything's ever gonna be happening and stuff. But they're trying. All right.
Yeah, less remakes. We don't need any more remakes. Come up with original ideas.
Yeah. So the last news we got was on 2021 where they came up with a new screenplay. But that's like 3 years later. So I haven't heard anything about anything coming out. But yeah, I mean, definitely very different and very fun. I thought this movie was. But speaking of that, let's get into it, brother. Let's get into it. Let's get into the hunger.
Sarah Roberts is in jeopardy.
Hey, lady, how about it?
Stay with her. Help her, for she has begun to feel the awful horror of the hunger. John Blaylock, the hunger has given him everlasting life. Until now, pray for him. Miriam Blaylock. She feeds 1 day in 7 on the unsuspecting, and soon she will turn into something that you will never be able to forget. No matter how hard and how long you try, fear her.
What have you done to me?
Forever and ever.
And life signs terminate right here.
classical elegance of David Bowie, the open sensuality of Susan Sarandon, combine to create a modern classic of perverse fear. Haunting, mysterious, sensual, strange, perverse, riveting. The Hunger.
So we started off, brother. Goth dance club everywhere. We got our boy Bauhaus. He's just rocking away. All right, in a cage. He's got fucking hair, his fucking goth hair on. They're singing. I was like, bro, when I turned this on, I was like, what? At first, I was like, did I get the right thing? Is this like a music video? Like, what is going? Did I get the?
Yeah. Well, also you got to consider too that MTV had just started in 1983, I believe.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that was an influence that he wanted to make this look like a music video because MTV was the most exciting thing in the world.
Yeah.
At this time,
it did a great job. Like that was my first thought. My first thought: am I watching a music video? And is this the Sisters of Mercy? It seemed like a Sisters of Mercy music video that I was watching. But we got this goth club, all right, and this is when we see John and Miriam Blaylock. That's the last name, Blaylock. Mm-hmm. They're out there. They see this couple dancing, and you could tell that this is what they're doing. They're hunting. All right, and I just thought this was so cool. I just loved everything about this opening scene. They got the couple to come home with them, and then they would cut, they would cut to normal stock music, and then they would cut back to that Bauhaus guy, and then they cut back while he was doing these crazy faces. What's the singer's name again from the Bauhaus? What's his name?
Peter Murphy.
Yeah, Peter. Bro, that guy, shit, bro. He should have been in more movies, man. He was just making these crazy faces in this dance club. I was like, damn, this guy's wild.
Peter Murphy was heavily influenced by David Bowie. Bauhaus was heavily influenced by David Bowie. So I'm sure that they jumped. Yeah. I'm sure they jumped at the chance to be in this.
Yeah, he was probably having a ball then. No wonder he was having so much fun on camera. So they get back to their house. All right. And John and Miriam, they are seducing the other couple, doing some swinger action, brother. And I like the guy. He was wearing the Terminator sunglasses. I was like, man. Yeah. I was like, let's go, brother.
Yeah. This movie starts off really hot.
It does. It's like, man.
Then it cools off a little bit.
It does cool off. Yeah. After this. Because then they start I thought we are gonna have to see some gothic sex on here, brother. Because they were just we got David Bowie over there seducing this girl, tits out and everything. We got this other girl humping on this guy. And then next thing you know, they pull out some. They have these what do you call that cross? It's an
ankh.
An ankh, yes. They have these ankh crosses on them. Because the ankh's supposed to represent eternal life.
Yeah, I was going to say that. It represents eternal life.
Yes. And so they take those out and they stab him in the neck.
Which is ironic because that's the thing they used to kill them.
Yes.
It's not eternal life for you. It's just for me.
Just for them, yes. So that's how they kill him and stuff. So, very hot opening scene over here. And then we can show them cleaning off the ankhs and everything, and this whole story takes place in New York City too. So obviously, very fun there. I like my notes over here that we have a goth shower. I'll just put goth
shower. I love the goth shower.
So there's just a bunch of stuff. So this is when we're kind of meeting. Okay, so during this too, which I thought it was bats at first. I guess my eyes are not working out, but apparently there's this monkey that this girl named Sarah Roberts. She's kind of she's a book writer, but she's also a scientist, and I guess she is studying that disease where you age very rapidly.
Well, she's studying aging and she's studying aging in general.
Yes,
she's because she's trying to inject the monkey. I think she's injecting the monkeys with things that make them age prematurely.
Yes.
And then the very beginning of it, you got all these monkeys, and then the monkey eats the other monkey.
Yeah. So are we led to believe that somehow the two vampires, the Baylocks, while they're having sex and eating humans, that the monkeys can somehow feel their energy, and that's why this one monkey attacked the other one?
No. I think that that's just your way of, well, I think it's in the movie because it's just disturbing goth shit with this monkey eating the other monkey. But I think that
is a great
it's
shirt.
the way to disturbing goth shit.
Yeah. That's a number one seller there, brother. All right.
The retro blood disturbing goth shit t-shirt. Print it. Put it up in our store.
Yeah, we need that one, man.
That we don't have.
So apparently,
yeah.
So the monkey was named Betty, right? And everybody's surprised that she bit it. And apparently, were they saying that the monkey was like 2,000 years old or something?
I don't remember that. I don't remember them saying it was 2,000 years old. Sorry, I don't know.
I was like, okay. So anyway, the girl Sarah's and all pissed and stuff. She's like, you know what? This is some disturbing goth shit on here, brother. Okay, that's what she was saying.
Disturbing goth shit.
So now, we see that the Sarah, like we were telling her, she is like the scientist. She's selling a book, and she's studying this like disease, this aging disease, and we could also see that Miriam, the I call her the Countess, but I could be wrong. But she's Miriam Blaylock. She's like the main vampire girl. She's actually very interested in this newscast that she's doing. And this is also too when we're seeing John. He's like, he's talking about like how he's feeling a little different. You can notice like his hair is falling out and stuff like that too. Then this girl, this like a teenage girl, comes over. Her name is Alice, and the big thing about these Blaylocks, they're like classical music teachers. So they're gothic, ragers, killing hunters at night, and they're classical people during the day. So
right,
exactly. And I don't know if about you, Alison, but I realized right away, there's a lot of like different like vampire lore that this movie like didn't like care about. Like, first of all,
right,
like these vampires, they don't need to sleep at like the daytime, or
no, they're out in the daytime in parts of it.
Yeah, they're like out in the daytime. Alice takes pictures of them, and they show up in pictures too.
So okay, but isn't just about everything we know about vampires? All the vampire lore we have comes from Dracula, though, right?
Yes, I would assume so. Yes,
Bram Stoker, I'm pretty sure, invented every single one of those things. I don't think those are traditional vampire, like Eastern European vampire stories. So, like the fact that they don't appear in mirrors, I don't think is traditional, or to be able to take pictures of them, or having to sleep in earth in the daytime.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure everything we know about vampires came from Dracula. So these are more like classic vampires, if you will.
Yeah, makes sense. So the big thing is, Miriam, so we find out that she kind of like knows that all her lovers throughout the years like deteriorate.
Yeah, because she's got them all in a box.
Yeah. So like,
and they're all mummies.
So but because we see the flashback of her saying forever, everything's forever. Are you gonna be with me forever? Everything. What is this, Twilight? Everything is forever. Okay.
Yeah, but what she doesn't tell you is that part of that forever, you're gonna be in a box.
Exactly. Yeah. But by the way, this forever, you're gonna like deteriorate, and we're gonna put you in a box for a bunch of birds. By the way, that's where you're going.
Well, you'll be in there forever.
Yeah, but forever. Technically it's forever.
Technically, she's right.
So she, I guess because she is now, I think she wants to like pick the brain of the Sarah, so she goes out and look for her, and then she starts talking to the blood doctor, And she's talking to the blood doctor about like, you know, cells and how they do everything. And she's just trying to get some more information from this. And this is also too when we see that John, like basically he, you know, he kind of confronts Miriam. He's like, hey, you know, like my hair's falling out. You know, like I have this picture that Alice took of us. I look 30 here. I don't look 30 anymore. I'm supposed to be young. You know, like it was kind of weird because like at first he seemed like he knew what's going to happen. He was kind of like, you know, what are you going to do about when I'm gone? Like who's your next person? Is it going to be Alice? Like she thought like she was going to turn Alice and stuff. And he's getting pissed off because he doesn't know who else is going to like take his place.
Yeah. Well, I was a little bit confused about this too, because at first I thought that the reason, like I thought that Miriam was interested in Sarah because she was trying to find a cure for whatever's wrong with John.
Yeah.
But then I think she just liked Sarah and wanted to replace John with Sarah.
Well, you know,
like
I
that
think,
was her plan all along.
I think
it didn't just happen.
Yeah, and like, you know, I think you know John. He's kind of like stuck too. He was kind of thinking like, you know, like I want to be with this girl. You know, Marion. I want to be with her forever because you know, like he was all in for the whole forever stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And now he's turning and stuff. And maybe he thought like, okay, well, I'm going to go see this Sarah girl. And maybe she knows of some sort of new blood treatment that can like keep me alive, you know? So, you know, he goes to the hospital to go visit her. And of course the girl blows him off. She's like, oh, just wait 15 minutes and I'll go see you. And then like Sarah's like talking. She lied because she was talking to, I believe it might've been Tom, like her not husband, but I'm going to love her guy.
Yeah, sure.
Like I mean, maybe they're dating, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I think they were in some kind of relationship for sure.
But they weren't like husband or wife or anything. But they were they were definitely dating. They were living together. She was like, hey, you know, I got some crazy down there. Just like let him wait around for like 2 hours. He'll go away. And then like, you know, we can slowly see over time, like at a fast rate, that John is like turning into old. And at the same time. Sarah is doing that treatment with that monkey, and he's turning super old too at the same time. Yeah. So then like John, after waiting around for like hours and hours and hours, he confronts her, and Sarah sees that he turned old as shit, and she's like, "Well, wait a minute, whoa, this is actually happening in real life. This is like a human." She wants to like test him, and he's like, "No, you go wait around the room." He's all pissed off now. I was like, "You go wait around there." All right, fuck you, bitch. All right?
Fuck you.
So now, you know, like the relationship between Miriam and John is not doing so well because John is turning into an old, decrepit man. Okay. And Miriam, she's not all about that, brother. She wants that new, hot, fresh thing. All right.
Yep.
So, this is one scene where Miriam's out and Alice comes over, and she was going to tell him like, hey, you know, I was just going to tell John and Miriam that I'm going to be out for my lessons on that this day. I want to leave her a note. And she can't tell that it's John because John, he's super old right now, and his voice has changed too. So he sounds like an old man. And he eventually lets Alice in, and they're talking and everything, and Alice thinks like, hey, you know, you look a lot like John. You sure you're not his dad? He's like, no, I'm just a friend. He's just a friend. And then he convinces her to play a little of the classical music for him. All right. And then out of nowhere, this guy just fucking kills her. I was like, oh shit. Okay. There you go. And I thought like, I'm not sure about you, Alison, when I was watching this scene, I thought he was like killing her to maybe like drink the blood so maybe he can turn young again, but that doesn't really work.
No, that doesn't really work in this universe.
So I'm guessing he did it out of spite because maybe he felt like maybe in his mind he thought like Miriam was going to take Alice as the new hot, you know, fresh person, and maybe that's why he killed her so she wouldn't have him. So that's the only thing I could think of.
I mean, it could be, yeah. I mean, the addict part of it is like they're drinking blood because they have to drink it. It doesn't make them young again.
Yeah.
They're just addicted to it, essentially.
Yeah. So yeah, that part was pretty crazy. And then, of course, Miriam, she comes home and she sees John like he is like 100 years old. And John was like, "You said forever." She's like, "Oh shit, well, I didn't really mean that long."
I didn't really think we'd be together this long.
And then like he's like, "Can't you just kiss me and kiss me like I was?" And she tries. She's like, "I just can't do it." And he's like, "Oh," and then he like fucking John like passes out, and she like grabs him and stuff because she got like super strength, and she's like singing like this gothic lullaby of like going into darkness and everything, and then she brings him to her bird dove gothic tomb storage unit, okay, and then locks his ass in a box, okay.
Yes.
And like this is when we find out that she has like multiple people she kept down there throughout ages.
Yeah. Now what? So did John like not wonder who these people were?
Well, maybe he never got invited to the room, Alison.
Maybe he never saw the room.
Oh, you know, that's another thing.
Years.
That's another thing.
Moving around the world.
Yeah, that's another thing. These vampires don't need to be invited in anywhere. They just show on up.
No, that's not a real thing.
Yeah,
vampires can just go in anywhere.
So while this is happening, there's a bunch of cool music and slow scenes. There's a lot of scenes too. There, like I was saying at the beginning, there's a lot of scenes of the Miriam. She's just standing around smoking everywhere. It kind of reminded me of it kind of reminded me of a perfume commercial. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, Miriam's played by Catherine Deneuve, and she's French, and the French smoke all the time.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, brother.
Yeah.
So Sarah, she comes on by, and she wants to talk to John because like she wants to apologize for not taking him seriously about what his condition is. Mm-hmm. And I like Miriam. She's all like, "Well, he's in Switzerland." All right, and she's like, "Wow, that was quick." I just saw him like a day ago.
Strangely, I just saw him yesterday, but now he's in Switzerland.
So she's like, "Come on in," and everything. And then this scene was just like,
it just sounds like an excuse.
I thought it was
right. It just sounds like an excuse. Like, oh no, he's in Switzerland.
Yeah, he's in Switzerland, bro. He has business down there. Yeah, he's deteriorating to be an old man, but he still has time to get that Swiss chocolate, brother. Okay, come on.
And Bowie is never in the movie again after this, right?
No, that's it. Yeah, he's done.
He's in the movie for like 20 minutes.
Yeah, once he's an old man, he's in the casket. Did you see his pants? Like wet his pants too. Like once he's in there, brother, he's gone. He's on out of there.
Yep.
He got his paycheck. All right. So this is when we get the. So Sarah is now. I couldn't tell. So something about this too, like I couldn't tell if it was Miriam doing her vampire, like a lot of vampires have that, they can get a lot of people to fall in love with them. I couldn't tell if she was doing that to Sarah or Sarah was just like feeling her on her own.
No, I think Sarah's just feeling her.
Okay. So, because, maybe our boy Tom ain't getting her a good enough pipe. You know what I mean? She has to go for something else, brother. She's more classy like that. All right, so I thought Sarah was doing most of the flirting in this. You know what I mean? Like she was like asking all these questions. She's like, "Man, you're so mysterious and everything." And like, what do you do for work and everything? And she's like, "Yeah, you could just kind of do your own schedule, have your own party." Like she was very envious of our vamp girl over here, and they're playing piano and everything, and she eventually spills some wine on her shirt. All right, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go." I like this. She's like,
oldest trick in the book.
Oldest trick in the book, brother. And then Miriam's like, "Oh," she's like, "Oh man, let me go wash up." And Miriam's like, "You can just take it off." And the girl's like, "Oh, is that an invitation?"
Oh, it's gonna be that kind of party.
I'm like, "What's going on over here, brother?" And the next thing I know, we take off some shirts, brother, and they just start kissing up, and then we get some goth vampire lesbian action going on here.
Yeah, it gets really hot again.
I was like, okay, this is where we're going. All right.
Yeah, this is where we are. We're already here. We're at 90 miles an hour.
And I thought this was pretty creative because it's like, okay, you know what? Like we know, like you know, like the only time I could think that there could be possible like, you know, like lesbian vampires around this time is like maybe Interview with the Vampire. But you know that is the thing with the culture of the vampires. Like the vampires are not just like they just don't like one sex. They like everything, brother. Most vampires that we've seen, they'll have sex with guys, girls, and fucking maybe bats too, brother. They don't care.
Maybe, yeah. Well, that's definitely a part of like Interview with the Vampire, the Anne Rice.
Yeah.
So the Anne Rice vampires in the novels are kind of. They're not really sexual, like they're like kind of asexual, and they'll kind of bite and attack anyone, which is different than they're portrayed in the movie. But yeah, I mean, like, so I don't know. I mean, this is definitely not the first lesbian vampire movie. I mean, Vampiros Lesbos was before this.
Yeah.
A lot of some of the Hammer films, Vampire Lovers had lesbian vampires in it, but so we definitely have this now though. We have Catherine Deneuve and Susan Sarandon, and hot lesbian vampire action.
There you go, hot lesbian vampire action, brother. Stamp it on. So they're getting it going, and so Mary just starts biting her. All right,
yeah,
and then we cut to like the blood cells. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We're cutting that stock footage in there.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool.
And then we see that Sarah she's sucking on the arm of the mirror. She's just so enhanced with everything. So, and then after this, we cut right to her cutting a steak. So that was a good little cut scene.
I was about to say, I thought that looked great. Like where she's like sucking the blood, and then they're like cutting a steak in the next scene. I mean, Tony Scott. I mean, you could tell that guy was going to be. He's a great director.
Oh yeah.
I mean, for a first film, especially, this is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean the whole cinematography in this movie looked great.
Absolutely.
So this is when they're at the dinner table, her and Tom, and Tom just noticing that she's acting a little different. She's like, "Well, fuck, I like this line." He's like, "Well, you're the one that ordered the steak super rare." All right, and then you turn down the clam. What do you say? The clam chowder. You turn down the clam chowder.
No, I think he just said clams. They had ordered clams, and she sent the clams back because she wasn't hungry because she only wants blood now.
Yeah, and then he's all like, he's like, you're being a little different. You're just acting a little weird. She's like, well, what do you mean by that? All right, and they're going back and forth, and she's like, you haven't been, I know you went to that girl Blaylock's house. Like, why are you there for 3 hours? Like, what possibly?
What were you doing?
Yeah, what were you doing for 3 hours, brother? What possibly do you have to tell a stranger for 3 hours?
This guy must be like the most boring fuck in the world. Like,
oh, yeah, it had to be.
I mean, like, I went out to dinner with a friend of mine last night, and we talked for 3 hours. Like, I mean, like, I think 3 hours is a good conversation time.
But hold on, it wasn't a friend though; it was just some stranger.
Well, okay, but all right.
He's an interesting stranger.
An interesting, right?
But that's what Sarah was trying to say. Is like, well, she just, her husband's in Switzerland, sucking on that Switzerland chocolate, and she was a lonely old lady. I was just talking to her about life stuff, and he was all like, and he was all like, there's just something different and weird about you lately. I think he's like, you know what? You're not going to like what I'm going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you anyway. You know what it is? I think you need to see a doctor. I was like, come on, bro.
Yeah, that's it.
And she's like,
you can't figure out that your girlfriend is like not into you. She's into like
hot lesbian goth action, brother. That's what she's into.
Yeah, she's into vampire goth girls now.
Yeah. You've been replaced, Tom.
You've been replaced, Tom.
So
you and your creepy mustache.
So I also like this part. So they have Sarah go get her blood checked, right?
Yeah.
From that blood doctor guy. the
the black dude.
Yeah, the
right?
black dude.
He's the blood doctor, right? The guy that's constantly wearing sunglasses.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like all his things are about blood. Like I don't do anything else but to tell you about blood. That's all. That's why I'm here. All right.
That was
And like
great.
he knew like every little thing about blood. It's like, yeah, blood will make you do this. Blood's how we can tell if you're healthy and not everything. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a blood expert.
Yeah. And then
But yeah, I thought that was cool
Yeah.
how they showed like he's like one of these things is not human, and he's like and then it shows like the blood cells fighting each other kind of
Yeah.
or whatever. That was cool.
And then like Tom freaks out like, what do you mean it's not human? How the hell did you get that?
He's like the guy who's just like figuring out that his girlfriend is really interested in somebody else. Like, how did that happen?
Exactly. It's like, what?
What's going on?
You went to this Miriam got some alien blood without me? What the hell?
It's like you spent 3 hours talking to this stranger and now you got alien blood in you?
It's like, I only get you for 10 seconds a night, and you went to this girl's house for 3 hours, brother. Oh, I forgot to tell you. So, like, while they're having dinner, like, I don't know if you know, were they having a dinner at, like, a YMCA or something? Because there was, like, these two random chicks, like, swimming.
I was going to ask you about this. Like, what the fuck is going where are they eating
Bro,
at?
where are they eating at?
So
What is this?
they're like ordering, like, clams and rare steaks.
Yeah.
And then, like, out right beside that, there's a swimming pool where people are swimming naked. We forgot to mention that.
Bro.
Like, all the girls are swimming naked.
Yeah.
Or she's imagining that, right? They're not really naked.
No, the one was in a bathing suit, but they were like, we saw them right. I don't know if she was imagining it or if they're eating at some sort of fancy classic YMCA or something. Like what restaurant you can order like fancy steak and then there's like a swimming pool in there?
No, there's definitely a swimming pool there. She's not imagining that, but there is nudity in that scene. But like, I don't know, like, yeah, there's like this. I forgot to till you brought it up. I forgot about that. There's a swimming pool where people are swimming right beside where they're having dinner. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's a thing I just don't know about. But it seemed fucking weird.
I mean, maybe a hotel or something. I have no idea. And it's like right there. Like it's right where people are having dinner. So they could just literally just look down and see these people swimming.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So Sarah now finds out that she has alien goth blood in her now.
Right.
Okay. So now she's pissed. So she comes and she talks to Miriam about like, hey, I got the, she also, everybody noticed that she has some bite marks on her too. And
on her arm.
On her arm,
what happened?
yeah.
They asked her, what happened here?
Like,
And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, you don't know what happened to that? It looks like she has fucking gangrene on her arm. Like, you don't even wonder what this is.
It's a spider bite, brother. I tell you.
It's a spider bite. Yeah.
I got it at the goth clip. But
I got it at the goth club. Sorry.
So she goes and talks to Miriam about, like, hey, what the hell happened last night? You know what I mean? Like, and eventually Miriam's like, because Sarah's starting to feel a little sick too. And Miriam's like, okay, well, you're going to feel sick for a little while. Like, basically what happened is, we're going to be forever and you're going to be, me and I'm going to be you now. And Sarah's like, oh, what the fuck? All right.
What the fuck does that even mean?
Yeah. So there is like these like scenes where like Sarah is, I guess she's kind of like in a trance a little bit with the Miriam, which makes sense because she's, going to be slowly turning into like some sort of, vampire creature now. And, the whole thing is, Miriam wants to teach her how to hunt now. She's like, hey, you're going to leave right now, but you're going to be back because you're going to need my help with feeding.
Yeah.
Okay. And this is when we get the detective comes by, who is super useless in this fucking movie. He's only like in 2 scenes.
I forgot there was a detective, but there is, isn't there?
And like he comes by and he's asking about Alice. And Miriam's like, I haven't seen Alice and stuff. She hasn't come by here and everything. And he's like, okay, well, if you see anything, let me know. Then they start talking about New York and how, dark it could be, but it's a nice day. There's like this weird like scene of like Miriam almost getting hit by a truck or something. And, the big thing is then we have some more scenes with Tom, trying to, get to the bottom of what's going on with Sarah. She's basically, telling her to go to this doctor
Yeah.
and kind of like get her mind right, and and see. And eventually Sarah kind of like just escapes, and she goes back to Miriam because she needs to learn how to like feed. So this is all like kind of like really quick cutscenes and stuff. But basically, yes. we see that they're kind of like going out on town, and then they pick up like this fucking like 80s like suit guy and stuff on there, and he's all like,
"Yeah,
bro, this scene was like weird because they get back to the house, right? And this house, I guess it's a couple. Yeah, this house is a couple stories.
I thought it was like a townhouse where you had like it was kind of like an apartment with 2 floors. It was kind of like you had, your entrance level, and then you had an upstairs where your bedroom stuff is, I guess.
Yeah, and like the thing is, like it's also decorated in all this old, stuff because obviously the Mary girl, she's an old vampire, so a lot of this stuff she just kept throughout her life, from different centuries.
Sure.
But this dude's like hanging out, right? Like.
Mm-hmm.
And like Sarah's upstairs, she's basically she looks like she's dying, okay? Because obviously she's going through her transformation of her blood getting taken over by the vampire. And I think Miriam, she got this guy there brought to the house so they could feed on him. All right.
Yeah.
And there's just this whole long scene of him just like getting a drink and walking around wondering where all the girls are. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
So you're telling me you just show up at this creepy goth house. The girls go upstairs, and you're just waiting around for like an hour or something, and he just starts wandering around
for the girls to show up.
Yeah, and then they just kill him in the elevator.
Yep.
I was like, okay, that was quick. And then during this time, like, Sarah, she eventually, I think she feeds on the guy, all right, and then she wakes up the next morning with blood on her and stuff. And she's starting to, feel obviously more getting to the point where she's feeling more alive and everything. And this is when Miriam was like, saying like, same thing. Her big thing is like, everything, we're gonna be together forever. We're gonna last forever. Everything's gonna be fine and stuff together. And you can kind of tell like Sarah's like into it, but she's not too into it. But she wants to go out and phone. Like Tom and stuff, but she can't get a hold of anybody. Like she's like out there and she's kind of like delirious a little bit out there.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a scene where she's like in the phone booth. She's trying to like call, but the calls are not going through. And this is also when you see that William Dafoe for a little bit, like not even saying anything. He just shows up.
William Dafoe. That was interesting.
It just like shows up, and the guy is like, "You some sort of junkie or something," and she just goes away and everything. And so the big thing is too, Tom is like calling around too, and he calls her doctor, and the doctor's like, I don't know where she's at and everything. And Tom's like, well, fuck, I'm just gonna come to that Miriam girl's house because after.
So how does he know where she lives?
Well, I'm pretty sure maybe Sarah told him. Maybe he looked it up in the phone book, Alison. That's what it was.
Oh,
he looked up.
I knew you'd come up with some kayfabe.
He looked like answer, he looked like some Blaylock. There's only one Blaylock in the phone book, brother, and I'm gonna find the townhouse.
Okay. All right.
That makes sense because he can look up Blaylock, and we could remember they run their own business out of their house, like classical music stuff. So it makes sense.
Oh, that's true. They teach. I forgot they teach music. So yeah, that could be it.
So Sarah, obviously she went back to the house after being all delirious and stuff because obviously she also been given she also got given that necklace too, the cross necklace as well. We forgot to mention that. Because, you could tell that Sarah, she's, like, it's like half right now. Like, we could see that her character's also half. Half of her doesn't want to do this, but the half of her does want to do this. Because, obviously, the half of the vampire is one's taking over. So, Tom comes by. All right? And he wants to see where is Sarah and everything. And Miriam lets them all in to the house. And they start talking, and he's like, hey, have you? I try to call her doctor and everything. I'm just not sure. Like, I know she came by here like a couple of days ago. I just want to know if you heard about anything from her. And then Miriam's like, yeah, she's upstairs. He's like, what? Like, what the hell is she upstairs and stuff? Like, he's just like, so shocked that she would even be here, like, since this girl's so new. Like, he only met this girl like 2 days ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sarah did. So he goes upstairs. He sees Sarah. She's all like fucking shivering and everything. He puts
she's all like going through withdrawals
and everything. Puts a sheet on her and everything. And next thing you know, boom, she cuts fucking Tom in the neck and starts biting his ass.
Yeah, fucking dumbass.
Killing his ass. All right. So then, after she did her first kill on her own, okay, she comes down, more blood on her. Right.
Yeah, this is a little scene where she's wearing like the little t-shirt and her underwear, and then she's like got blood running down her mouth and her neck. That was hot.
Yeah, I was like, damn, this girl. I thought she was like, okay, we're gonna have some vampire team up here now. All right, and they're talking about being together. You know what I mean? You're finally coming around and everything, and so like they start like kissing with the blood all in them and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, buddy, let's go. And then and then out of nowhere, Sarah stabs herself in the neck. And then
I know, it's kind of came out of nowhere, right? Like, so they're starting to like fool around again. Well, it does make sense, but then she's all of a sudden like stabs herself in the neck with the Ankh knife.
Yes. And then all the blood comes out, and of course, man, she's all freaking out and everything. And the reason that I'm guessing why Sarah killed her is because she didn't want to live that lifestyle. Like she killed Tom. You know what I mean? She knows that she's going to, if she lets this whole transformation happen, obviously she's going to come into this, blood-sucking killer, like a vampire, obviously. And she was like, well, fuck it. Well, maybe before the whole transformation comes through, I'll just kill myself.
Yeah, exactly.
But somehow this morphs into her killing herself, right? And like the blood's like spilling on Miriam and stuff. And Miriam like
I thought she made Miriam drink her blood.
Yeah, drink her blood, yes.
Yeah.
And I guess because of this happened, there's a couple of things that happened. So that happens, and then all the skeleton decayed ex-lovers, they all
call them mummies.
The mummies, they all wake up from their goth tombs.
Yeah. So like, why does this happen? We don't know.
It's because it's weird goth shit.
Right, it's just weird goth shit. Yeah.
All right, so they all wake up, and I guess now maybe because like her powers, Miriam's powers are going downhill or something. I don't know. But I guess they all wake up and they all freak her out because they're all saying like all these ones are saying forever, forever. She's like, oh, I didn't really mean that long. Okay, and they make her like trip. And she goes like falling down the stairs. Mm-hmm. Like, it's still like a super flight down there. And I was just thinking, like, when I was watching it, I was like, how many like 80s like horror movie deaths or people just falling down the staircases? There has to be like a record.
Yeah.
Good amount.
Probably a few. Yeah.
So she falls down and then she eventually turns like old herself.
Yeah. Weird.
So I'm guessing maybe because like there was still some human blood left in Sarah, that is her, like that. I don't know. Maybe because she broke the cycle, because they drink human blood all the time. So why would that make her turn old?
I don't know. None of this makes any sense.
So, the problem is, Alison, we're not artsy enough to figure out why.
We're not right. We're not artsy enough to understand it. Yeah.
Okay, I got it. Okay, so Sarah, she broke the cycle. Okay, so this girl, Miriam Blaylock, she has like a fucking cycle where she has to have a lover. Maybe if she doesn't have a lover, her powers go like a little, like, they get like a little less. And then all her dead lovers can come up and turn into zombies when she doesn't have an actual, like, heir. Or, like, a lover heir.
Sure. It's good enough. That's as good a reason as we got.
Good enough, brother. So now she turns to old, dead ashes and shit. Then we cut to the detective walking in. and she sees some random guy. He's like, oh, hey, I'm the detective. I'm looking for Miriam. She's like, oh, I'm not sure who that is. I'm trying to sell this place. We got a person upstairs. And he's like, oh, that's kind of weird. She's like, yeah, we're going to sell this place, and all the stuff that was in here, it got donated to a museum. I was like, okay. And then this guy's like kind of like looking around confused. And then we cut to the new homeowners. And then we see in this gothic looking sheet, Sarah's there. She kisses the wife of the homeowners. And then she just stares off into New York airspace.
No. She's living somewhere else. That's not New York.
That's not New York.
So
anymore?
I'm pretty sure that the scene where they're I'm pretty sure that the scene where they're selling the home obviously is in New York because that's where it took place. But then the scene that that Susan Sarandon's talking about that they added to the movie is her, and she's in like London or somewhere.
No.
And then she's walking on the balcony with two new companions. So it just kind of cross fades into that, I believe.
So somehow she survived.
Yeah, she survived somehow.
Maybe
that's why they're saying it. That's why she's saying it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Maybe she didn't hit an artery.
Maybe.
You know what I mean?
There was a lot of blood.
Well, she drank a little bit. You know what I mean? Now, is she the new countess? Maybe.
That's what I guess it's implying. Yeah.
There you go. And then of course she's keeping Miriam in a box.
I guess so. Yes.
That's the one I was saying no in the box at the end. So.
Yeah, which is kind of weird because she didn't even want to. She so didn't want to be this thing that she was going to kill herself, but then somehow she just embraces being this thing.
Yeah,
yeah, like it doesn't make any sense. The ending, that tacked on ending, doesn't make any sense. But the rest of it's pretty good.
First of all, Alison, you're not too artsy. I get everything about what just happened. Okay.
Right, okay. I'm not artsy enough.
You know what I mean? See, what happened was Sarah.
You're probably right about that.
All right. She said she didn't want to be a vampire or she killed herself, but she only did that to trick the countess. And then she turned herself into a vampire to live a gothic lifestyle.
Of course.
Without Tom. Because fuck that guy. But yeah, I enjoyed this film. All jokes aside, I thought it was pretty cool. Very different take on vampires. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I did like it pretty good. One scene that we didn't talk about that I thought was cool, special effect wise, was the scene where it shows the monkey aging.
Yes.
And then it kind of rots on camera, and that I'm sure they used stop motion animation to do that. I thought that looked really good.
Yes, that was pretty good. But yeah, I mean, and also too, some of the when the people were turning old, some of their faces looked pretty good too.
Yeah, because Dick Smith did the makeup for this, and he's pretty good.
Yeah, buddy. But yeah, everybody, that was The Hunger. Check it all out if you can. Pretty cool movie. But we will be moving on for our Vampire Month over here on the Retro Blood. Because up next, we're going to start doing some dancing. For Alison and everybody. Because we're going to go Dance of the Damned.
Dance of the Damned.
You ever seen this one before or no?
I have not. 1989, Dance of the Damned. This is going to be another Roger Corman produced movie, so this will be fantastic straight-to-video goodness.
There you go, brother. Can't wait to see it. Probably everybody can watch it off Tubi. That's probably what we'll be watching it off of. Apparently, we got some strippers on here too. So let's go, brother. I'm ready for that. And then, of course, we're going to finish off the month with a movie I've been pretty excited about watching for some time because I actually never seen it, even though it's a very popular movie. And that was going to be Fright Night.
Yep, it's going to be awesome.
The Fright Night.
Finish it off with a classic.
And of course, if we have some time, because our time is very valuable here on the Retro Blood, me and Alison are thinking about coming back on the Lights Out on Thanksgiving, talking
Thanksgiving.
No, wait, did I say Thanksgiving? I said Valentine's Day.
On Valentine's Day.
By the way, I got the Thanksgiving Blu-ray in the mail.
Oh, did you? I didn't know it was
Yeah.
out already. So that's cool.
Yeah, like it has a bunch of extras on it and shit. Like I want to see these extras because like when we were talking about that Lights Out review of Thanksgiving, like I'm very interested to see about the uncut stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So maybe
me too.
maybe I'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe on the Lights Out because we're thinking about coming back for Valentine's Day and talking My Bloody Valentine 3D. So.
Maybe.
Yeah, if we have enough time, we'll see. But you guys could check out My Bloody Valentine that we actually did a couple years back on the Retro Blood. Very fun movie. Some super cool stuff. But yeah, come join us here next week for Dance of the Damned, and of course we'll finish out this Vampire Month with Fright Night. So, but Alison, what should we play for everybody heading on out of here?
You want to play some Bauhaus, or you want to play some David Bowie?
Actually, let's do the Bauhaus one. Let's do the movie they did for Della Bussi's Dead. Let's do that.
Bela Lugosi's Dead.
Bela Lugosi's, yeah, brother.
On the way out, Bela Lugosi's Dead by Bauhaus.